to Tank Blitzers and hopefully a few future Momrads. Littlefinger here today doing a full tank review on one of my favorite Tier 4 tanks, the DW2. You can see it here in the garage. It is a German Tier 4 heavy tank, and it is a fun tank to drive. Let's just take a look real quick. Hit point 600, hull armor, look at that, all the way around, 50 millimeters on your hull, turret, front, back, sides, everywhere. Tank is nicely armored. It does come with the 7.5 centimeter L24 gun. You can see here your penetration value is only going to be 43 for AP. So you'll quickly want to work your way up to the L43, which has 103 millimeters of pen, 139 on the APCR, doing about 160 damage per shot. Let's take a look at the tech tree and show you where this tank will take you. You can see the DW here goes up to the VK line, the 30.01, 30.02, and then to the Panther 1 and Panther 2, E50 and E50M. For the most part, I would say these are slightly less armored vehicles than what you'll find in the DW, in relativeness to their tier, of course. But they have a much higher rate of fire, good penetrating guns that don't do as much damage. And that's my generalization of this tank line. If you prefer more of the feel of the DW, which is, in my opinion, a very good armored tank, I would suggest going up to the Tiger 2, E75, E100. You're going to get more armor, slower loading, heavier damage guns there. So let's take a look real quick at just my loadout on here. Consumables, repair kit, multi-purpose, restoration pack, and tornado energy. Provisions, standard fuel, protective kit, chocolate bar. Ammunition, you can see here I'm only running 10 rounds of APCR. There's not many tanks that you will need the APCR for, so it's also a cost-effective tank to run as well. Let me do a little comparison with its peers at Tier 4. Okay, here you can see we've got blitzstars.com pulled up using their tank compare section. Not a lot to compare it to with heavies at Tier 4, only one, the B1. So I've pulled out a few of the mediums there that have some pretty good penetration values just for extra comparison. So you can see here DW without any equipment loaded, using just regular AP, we're going to come in with a damage per minute around 1194. Only the T28 is going to be higher than that. The penetration, 103 millimeters, that's going to be much higher than the B1, and a little bit lower than the T28 and Matilda. And with your damage of 160, only the PZ4D compares there. You're much higher than those other tanks. Rate of fire, 7.4, is going to be a little bit slower than most of the other tanks. You do have a 75 millimeter shell with a shell velocity of 740. I don't really have an issue with that. Sometimes with these slower shell velocities, it's harder to hit moving targets at a distance, but I don't really notice any problems. Moving on to weapon handling, aim time 1.8 is obviously going to be the slowest there, and that's one of the downsides to this gun. Depression 8 degrees. Again, that's pretty good. It's not obviously best in class, but it's not like a 5 or 6% there on the T28. It makes a little bit more of a difference with how you play the tank. At 35 kilometers per hour, this tank does move pretty well. You can see that our terrain resistance is almost best in class there, which gives us a fairly comparable effective horsepower to ton ratio to the B1, but it does traverse a lot better. Credit coefficient, look at this, for being an OP tank at 140%, it blows all these other tanks away. View range is the same for all tanks. Hit points at 600. So you've got good armor at 50 millimeters there, versus the Matilda comes in at 75 millimeters. Obviously, the downside of the Matilda is that slow turret. So this tank has the maneuverability, it has the armor, and it also has a very good credit coefficient. So this is why this is one of the favorite tanks for people to play. And you can see here, looking at the 90-day data, look at this, a win rate of 65%. I mean, it's not even close to these other tanks. Average damage is much higher. Your average kills is higher. The only thing that's not is your average spots, and that's because you're typically starting a little bit further away from all the mediums, and the mediums typically dictate the direction of play at this tier. So you got a lot of players outside of the A20. I think this kind of exemplifies why this tank is OP. Alright, so here is the DW2's equipment page. You can see how I currently have mine set up, and we'll talk about some of the ones that I don't. But since this is one of my favorite tier 4 tanks and I do play it frequently, I'll probably go ahead and load this one all the way out. Whereas on some of these other tier 4 tanks, I'm not planning to do that, just because I'd rather save my spare parts for my upper tier tanks. So gun rammer is going to increase our rate of fire to just over 8, versus calibrated shells, which is going to increase our penetration value, taking AP there from 103 to 108. I don't have any problems with penetration values on this tank, so I would much rather increase my rate of fire. So that's why I've chosen the gun rammer. Protected modules and enhanced cabin. The enhanced cabin is going to protect your crew, and then also protects from ramming. Not many tanks are going to be ramming a DW, and therefore I prefer to protect myself against ammo racks, engine fires, those type of things. So that's why I choose protected modules. Specialization. Improved optics is going to increase our view range to 256 versus a camouflage net, which is going to decrease our visibility 3%. You know, smaller maps, I'm going to go with improved optics and just help out with that view range. And of course, you have to complete all 3 before you can move down to the tier 2 level here. And so you've got your enhanced gun lane drive, which is going to lower your aim time to 3.8 versus your shell velocity increase, and then a decrease of an increase of your penetration value over distance. So I am currently waiting for the enhanced gun lane drive to activate, essentially there. Enhanced armor, 5% to our 50 millimeters. It's going to add, 2.5. So not a huge increase, but in my opinion, neither really is 30 hit points. So I've decided to go with the enhanced armor here. Improved control is going to basically increase your traverse speed a lot more, whereas your engine accelerator is going to increase your engine horsepower more, and this is going to allow you to accelerate faster, going to allow you to climb hills faster. So that would be my preference there, would be the engine accelerator. Vertical stabilizer versus refined gun. It's only bringing that dispersion down by 0.02, so I'm going to go with aim time, bringing that down to under 4 seconds there. Enhanced tracks versus toolbox. I don't have a lot of experience to talk about either of these two, to be honest with you. If anyone's got any input, I would love to hear it. consumable delivery system, and again, versus high-end consumables, this goes to how many of these are you running. If you're running a power boost and tornado energy, formerly adrenaline, then I would consider the high-end consumables. But if you're like me, using a small and a large repair kit, this is what I would end up choosing. Alright, first game here on Mines, top tier. Gonna push the middle hill. Our 8% gun depression shouldn't be too much of an issue. So we'll be cautious. I don't like to push all the way up the hill. And you can see here we get the first shot in. Got a guy right behind me, so I'm going to push a little bit more than what I'm comfortable with. But they've only got one spotted so far. Here comes another. So it's best if I just drop down into the safety here of being lower on the hill. And this guy looks like he must be AFK, but you can see they're all pushing around the rock, taking out that guy. That must have been that M3 light that rammed me from behind. And that's the what can happen if you obviously push too far. So you can see here, even though I've pushed up, I'm backing around the hill here just so that I've got safety. Now we're just keeping an eye on both of these guys. Get a nice shot into him, and that Keeney starts hitting me. So right back down. And let's see if we can't get him to relocate. Just keeping an eye on all three of these guys. Get a shot in on the B1. And every time I shoot, you can see here I'm backing down the hill to safety. And then PZ4 makes a run for the hill. Would like to try to get him out if I can. But I'm exposing a lot of myself in doing so here. And I missed that shot. So two have dropped down into the lake area. We'll go ahead and finish him off. And then circle back around and take care of these two guys here. You can see we are down a tank. Get that shot in, and you can see I'm just backing down to safety each time. And luckily he's a bad shot. Take one from the side there, but we'll go ahead and get him before he can drop off the hill. Turn around and make sure we're facing these other tanks for our armor. We can angle it better. HE into the side of a martyr always. Get a nice 200 roll. Don't need an HE. I can penetrate him and finish him off. And then the B1 comes up, and I switch over to APCR and get a lucky one there and two, because he did a good job of angling. And he's shooting me, and I think that I'm aiming down here, the lower area, and that doesn't penetrate. Again, get another shot in, and it doesn't penetrate. So I should have been aiming here for the top hatch the whole time. And because he's got a faster rate of fire and he got those few extra shots in before me, he does finish me off. Luckily our B1 gets that shot in. And so we end up with 4 kills, 2234 damage. And that was good enough for a mastery badge. So second game here on Desert Sands. And we are going to head this way over the rail tracks. one of our first opponents gets spotted. So I'll go ahead and take a quick shot there and land that. He doesn't move, so go ahead and try to get another shot in there and land that as well. So you can see that's quite a distance, and we got 2 shots in. But since no one else was spotted, we want to push up and get involved. Kind of waiting for their team to spot up. Get a nice shot there into the side of the DW, and he's going to go down the hill. So we'll keep moving forward. They're all focused on the other tank, and he's taken out. And DW showing us his side, so we'll get another shot into him. He gets our engine, we'll repair that and push forward and finish him off. Not sure how that martyr missed that, but anyway, you've got M3 light. I probably could have switched over to HE and gotten a few extra hit points in there. And might have finished him off in 2 shots. But I switch over to HE on the last shot here and finish him off there. So we now have 2 kills. The Valentine is sitting there on top of the tracks to a side showing. You know, again, you gotta learn, guys, where your armor is and how best to angle. One of the things I want to point out with this DW that you'll note as I drive it through these different games is that I try to keep the tank angled to my opponent and shoot over one of the front tracks. So almost at a 25-30 degree angle. That makes our front armor a lot more effective and more difficult to penetrate. And you can see here, no problems with AP on the Matilda. A little bit slower, obviously, than some of the mediums and lights that I've been reviewing at this tier, especially as far as traverse speeds go. But again, this guy's not doing a very good job with angling, and you can see I'm shooting over that front track, so I've got a nice angle to him, and we finish him off for kill number 5 there. So as top tier, I could show you a plethora of games similar to this one with over 2,000 damage. It can be quite routine actually with this tank. So I'm going to try to focus on some bottom tier tanks games. The damage might not be as high, but you'll see a little bit more complexity in the playstyle. So here we are on Rockfield as the bottom tier. Looking at the makeup of the team, we've got a couple heavies there. Usually most people go to the right unless your team makeup is completely all heavies. I like to come around to this spot right here because there's a nice bush to hide behind. Covenanter is pushed way up. He's on that hill. It's probably a pretty good tactical spot unless you get pushed on. But I see this Wolverine, and you can see how he's turning his turret, and shows me the weak side of the turret, so we'll get a nice shot in there. Now he's going to go behind this hill here, and we'll finish him off. Kind of just try now and feel out how this game's going to unfold. I don't want to push too far. We've got this DW right here, so I'll drop it to APCR, make sure that shot goes in. Probably didn't need to do that, but at this point in time, I just want to make sure that we're getting all the points. Now they're backing up, so I can go and rush the Covenanter. And he's going to get a couple into us, but he's also going to bounce a couple. And then, I don't know, he tries to ram us, so wasn't very smart. But we'll go ahead and finish him off. T-67's next. There's only 2 tanks left. This was a good team here. So I'm going to switch over to HE in the backside there. And then we'll ram him and finish him off. One of the nice things about this DW is how heavy it is, and it is a good ramming tank. So they've got 1 left. He's obviously run off. I'll just go ahead and speed it up here as we hunt him down. Being a little on the slow side, I figured I'll just go sit in base. He gets spotted up top. Team goes after him. And he does not survive very long at all. So quick game there. But 1,118 damage, 3 kills in a very short period of time. Alright, so this game I'm bottom tier on Copperfield. One of the places I like to get to is in between these 2 mounds right here. And you can really get a good hold down spot here. They don't show up, and they've got a couple that have come up on the other side, so I'm going to push hard, and then we start to see that their heavy show up. So they've all gone to this side of the map. Get a nice long distance shot in there. And this goes back to what I was talking about at the beginning of the analysis here of this tank. I don't really see any issues with the shell velocity. We'll get 2 nice shots in on the T1. And since they've all pushed around, we're down a tank. I gotta get over there and I gotta help out. So we're gonna speed it up here as we go down into the valley and come up on the other side behind them. First target here is our T1. We'll go ahead and shoot him in the rear. And then we'll finish him off. Now we're quickly up, and I just want you to point out this shot between the dead T1. Nice accurate gun there. So we only did 883 damage, but that was good enough for second there. Next game here is Winter Malinovka, bottom tier again. Looking at the makeup of our team, I think it's best if we head right. We just got the KV-1 up here. My platoon mate, Dirty Derp. And so off we go, pushing right. So this is a nice little hold down spot I like to get into if they come around the ship there. But they haven't been spotted, so we're going to keep on pushing around the corner. Assume at this point they've gone right as well, and then they start to pop up on the map here. So I guess they were a little indecisive as to which way they were headed. I'm going to push around just far enough to clear the rock here on my left. Making sure that I'm always backing down to safety when I reload. Missed that shot. They've all started to rush down here a little bit. Missed that shot on the Leo. Having trouble picking a target. There's so many of them there. Now we're getting kind of critically low on health. And this Leo decides to run right into the middle of everybody. He gets finished off. And as you can see, they're pushing hard, so I'm trying to back away as fast as I can. You see, I keep getting tracked. At this point in time, I'm just trying to deal out as much damage as I can in the hopes that it helps the team. I don't have any thought right now that I'm going to survive this game. You can see I get tracked again by the T-34, no damage. Managed to get a couple lucky bounces here. Another track. It's one of the nice things about this tank, even in a tier 5 game, you're going to bounce your fair share of shots for sure. So we just got one left. Somehow we survived and came back from that. And while we didn't get any kills, we did end up with 1,589 damage. Steel wall was tops on the team. So here's the last game on Mayan Ruins. Got a lot of mediums over there, so I think the best option for our team is to go left. And I'm not sure if they're actually convinced of that, and they're just sitting around the spawn. So I'm going to push into the middle and then cut around to the left here behind this bush. And they've got one up on the bridge already. I've been spotted now. Need to make sure that they're not coming around the corner. We'll get a shot into the M3. He is a tall target. So I'm not being very useful here. PZ-34 is pushed around the corner. So we'll move up and get a shot in on him. And we'll finish him off there. Took a little shot. But again, just trying to stay conservative, stay under cover. And they've got several tanks there around the corner. And you can see one of the things I wanted to point out was I'm trying my best to shoot over the front track. So I'm about 25 degrees, 30 degrees turned here. And you can see we get another bounce. And the shot that penetrated came from straight on from the Anko there. So 157 damage. We're in the territory where an Anko could take us out with one shot. So want to be a little bit more cautious here. And I see a couple of them have gone up to the bridge, so I'm gonna head that way. A little slow going here up this steep of a hill, 10 kilometers per hour. But now the Anko is engaged behind him, so I'm gonna get over this hill and get the gun depression down and we'll finish him off. Swing back around. And you can see that 6 degrees or 8 degrees of gun depression is pretty good. Some bad driving there. We'll get him as he's trying to run away. So 4 kills, 1 tank left. What are you gonna do? Gotta get down to him, right? So hey, tankers, hold on to your seats. We'll jump on down there and get kill number 5. So, as I was saying, this is a tank that can more than hold its own as bottom tier. This was 1,331 damage, 5 kills, best on the team there. Landed 2 shots. We bounced several shots. So, I think this just exemplifies why this tank is overpowered and one of everybody's favorite tanks to play. So go out and get you one, hold on to it, and as always, guys, have fun out there, stay safe, get educated, not fingered. Littlefinger out.